What kind of a man is taking control in the White House? Lots of people have focused during the campaign on the kind of senility of Joe Biden. And there were certainly plenty of clips of Joe Biden mumbling and bumbling, and he doesn't know where he is, and his wife is speaking, but he looks like he's wandering around in an old folks' home. And there's no question Biden is going through an era of decrepitude. It's kind of funny that the Democrats were calling for the 25th Amendment to be applied to Trump. Biden is probably eligible for that consideration, at least, on his very first day. Now, it's true that Biden sometimes has lucid moments, but there are other times he doesn't. I mean, can we afford to have a president that is occasionally lucid? Can we afford to have a president with his finger on the nuclear codes who sort of fades in and out of full cognition? The deeper problem with Biden, however, is not his decrepitude, not his intellectual decrepitude. It is his moral turpitude, or to put it somewhat differently, the real problem with Biden is here is one deeply corrupt guy. So this is just worth knowing. We have essentially put a burglar in charge of Fort Knox. We have taken a guy who has made corruption a specialty in his career. This is how he got so rich. I mean, here's the point. Biden says, I've been in public office, I've been in public service for 40 years. If you've been in public service for 40 years, how do you become a centimillionaire? How do you get $100 million on a government salary? How do you own multiple homes? How is it that you have private planes, domestic staff, all the accoutrements of the super rich? Now, Biden could say, well, the money doesn't come from me, Dinesh. It's come from Hunter Biden and Frank Biden and James Biden, my two brothers, and my son. You know, they've really made good. And that's kind of true. They have made good on your name. In other words, the product that they were selling is you, Joe Biden. Here's a clip from the movie Trump Card. And I'm going into this in some detail for the simple reason that this is the kind of stuff that was covered up by the media and was truly suppressed by digital media. We talk about digital media suppressing just the New York Post story about the Biden laptop, but that was just literally the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot beneath that, and we get into it a little bit in Trump Card. So check this out. Let's track a little bit of the Biden family racket. Biden's brother, James Biden.
Go back to November of 2010, a guy named Kevin Justice shows up at the vice president's office in the White House. 3 weeks later, Kevin Justice appoints James Biden, who has no experience, as the new executive vice president of Hillstone, a construction company that he has just formed. Then 6 months, this new construction company lands a contract to build 100,000 homes in Iraq.
And what is that contract worth?
About $1.5 billion. During this time, Joe Biden was the point person on Iraqi reconstruction.
Now, there's another Biden brother.
I'm Frank Biden. I'm the non-attorney senior advisor to clients statewide.
So Frank Biden had been a largely unsuccessful real estate agent in Florida. His brother is elected vice president of the United States in 2009, and he decides he's going to get into the energy business. His brother in the spring of 2009 makes a trip to Costa Rica, meets with Costa Rican President Arias. Within a couple of months, Frank Biden is in Costa Rica. He has meetings with Costa Rican government officials, and he signs an exclusive deal with the Costa Rican National Power Company for green energy projects in Costa Rica. His company, Sun Fund Americas, is involved in a project that includes $47 million in taxpayer-backed loans in Jamaica.
Welcome to our Burglar-in-Chief. And we can expect him and his whole corrupt family, the Biden crime family, to be running around the place. You can watch your wallet. I'm not sure anybody's going to be watching the nation's wallet. Certainly not the media. Rudy Giuliani said yesterday, this is the first known crook to be inaugurated president of the United States. And I'm not sure that's entirely true. It is true that Biden built his crookery on the model of someone who wanted to be president of the United States the last time around, Hillary. The Biden model was built on the Hillary model. Biden learned from Hillary that you can use your influence to sell office abroad. You can collect money from China. You can collect money from other countries. In the case of the Clintons, they were even ripping off aid money that was intended for Haiti. And you say, well, Dinesh, no one really believes that. Well, the Haitians do. That's why the Haitians would have regular protests and demonstrations in front of the Clinton Foundation. Protests, by the way, ignored by the media, because think of the damning imagery of black Haitians yelling and screaming and telling the Clintons that they ripped off a famine and earthquake devastated country. So that's who these people are. They pretend to be idealists. They talk about social justice. They're out for themselves. Now, the Democratic Party was started by a crook, Andrew Jackson. You only have to read the book Jackson Land, which is a kind of damning indictment of the way that Andrew Jackson had good qualities. He was a patriot. He did fight bravely for America, but he also did not hesitate to make money on the side. He would push these Indian tribes off their land, and the idea was for the land to then be auctioned for settlers. But Jackson knew which land was coming up for auction, so what he would do is he and his friends would start up companies, and they would go in and put early bids on the land, so they were able to buy this land at rock-bottom prices, and then they would sell it for a tremendous markup, and Jackson became fabulously wealthy as a result. So you can see that this is sort of a Democratic Party tradition of enriching yourself, you may say, at the public expense. And in that sense, Biden is simply the latest installment in that tradition. Now, I'm not saying all Democrats have been in the tradition. I mean, Jimmy Carter didn't enrich himself in office, and certainly neither did Harry Truman. So there are Democrats who are, at least from a personal point of view, not using the country as their personal piggy bank. But we have a guy who has become expert over his career in doing it. We can only hope that his senility is so far advanced that it interrupts his corruption. We can only hope that he doesn't really know what's going on, and he doesn't know, in a sense, which vaults to clean out. I think we're in for a difficult period in America. It's not a comfortable thought for our society to have installed a burglar-in-chief, but we have him, and we're going to have, at least for the present, to live with him. We'll be